The grim adventures of Billy and Mandy leans heavily into dark comedy, which is what really sets it apart from other cartoon series. Some of its darkest, creepiest episodes only add to its unique vibe. This was hands down the most special and darkest episode of the whole series. It starts with Billy running into a brain-eating alien. One day, Billy asks Mandy and Grim to hang out with him, but they're both tied up with their own stuff, leaving him with no choice but to venture out alone. While wandering around, he spots what seems to be like a broken star, which, surprise, turns out to be an alien. This alien is what makes the episode so bone-chillingly eerie. But to top it off, the episode throws in a musical number
and bring me some brains.
Okay!
Adding an extra creepy charm to the dark tone. The plot gets even spookier and more intriguing from there. The alien tries to befriend Billy with plans to turn him into a snack. Billy, being his clueless self, listens to everything the alien says because he thinks they're best buds. But this brain eater just loves munching on human brains. So Billy, being the ever-faithful friend, starts lining up humans one by one for the alien, who happily munches away on their brains. But in a final twist, when Billy finally brings Mandy to the alien, things take a turn. Mandy proves too much for the alien who can't stand up to her. In a classic Mandy move, she takes the alien's place
That's better.
and then uses Billy as her pet to lure more humans for her to feast on.
Yes. Bring me some brains.
Since we're on the topic of brains, let's talk about those without them. Yup, I'm talking zombies. They look scary, act scary, and have all the charm of an empty shell. There's no doubt that this show, while comedic, loves to experiment with supernatural elements. And true to form, it even features an episode that managed to bring out the funnier side of zombies. Sure, we've seen tons of zombie movies, but they rarely lean into comedy. This episode, however, doesn't shy away from adding that missing humor element to the mix. One day, Billy decides he's going to be a chef. Unfortunately, he accidentally whips up a dish so awful that no living human could possibly stomach it. But when a bunch of corpses get a whiff, they start coming back to life. Not for brains, but for Billy's, unique cuisine. This episode cranks up the horror with a perfect storm of spooky elements. Like the nighttime setting that casts an extra dark and eerie vibe over the whole scene. The story unfolds in two parts, giving the creators a chance to fully flesh out the chaos. There's even a moment where Billy finds himself completely surrounded by zombies, which is terrifying until the zombie hunter Hoss swoops in with a major badass move and wipes them all out. And while we're on scary episodes, let's not forget Nurgle. His dark, twisted style turns every episode he's in into a spine chiller. But here, we're not talking about Nurgle himself, but rather his son, Junior Nurgle. In his debut episode, Junior's creepy presence brings a whole new level of eerie that leaves us just a little bit unnerved. In this episode, we see Father Nurgle trying to get his son, Junior Nurgle, to fit in with humans.
Now, why would you think that you won't fit in?
So he decides to send Junior down to Earth. At first, Junior isn't exactly thrilled with the idea. He's worried he'll never really fit in with humans. But good old Father Nurgle doesn't take no for an answer and forcibly sends him anyway. Meanwhile, Billy and his friends are on a school trip, where Billy meets Junior Nurgle for the first time. This episode has a spooky vibe.
What?
I'm cold.
Well, of course you're cold! You're standing out there in the snow, you four-eyed freak!
I said, I'm cold.
Hey!
As Junior starts craving attention and wants desperately to blend in. To do this, he targets all the popular kids.
Popular.
One by one, he uses his dark magic to make them disappear and takes their place instead. The way his evil actions are shown is full of intro to Junior Nurgle's character. It quickly becomes clear that Junior is no less evil than his dad. And there's another episode in this series that's so memorable you wouldn't want to miss it, even if you tried. One day, Billy went a little too far tormenting his pet hamster, and Grim, the Grim Reaper himself, shows up to claim it. But just as he's about to take the hamster, he spots Mandy. This moment turns out to be a huge game changer and a threat for Grim. See, in the underworld, Grim thought of himself as the coolest and smartest around, but in front of Mandy, he practically turned into a scaredy cat. He even ended up swearing eternal servitude to Billy and Mandy.
I loathe you.
Now, this episode might not seem too scary to the audience, but for Grim, it meant a lifetime of fear and submission. Then there's Eris, a character who finds great joy in causing mischief for others. Thanks to one of her pranks, an entire episode turns into a creepy and unsettling experience, blending humor with just the right amount of spookiness. This episode isn't outright scary. It's more on the creepy and dark side, mostly because Billy, Mandy, and Grim end up turning into bizarre monsters that make the audience feel, well, kinda grossed out. It all starts when Eris, the goddess of chaos, decides she's in the mood for a prank. So she shows up with her special magic apple and hands it over to Grim, telling him to take good care of it. Grim knows Eris is up to no good and tries to refuse, but by then, she's already vanished. Trying to keep it safe, Grim locks the apple away in a box. But that very night, the apple somehow ends up on Billy's bed. Naturally, Billy, being Billy, starts playing with it instead of leaving it alone. Mandy catches him in the act and takes the apple for herself. This triggers a full-blown argument among the three, each one refusing to let go of the apple.
No, I don't think I will. No, I will keep the apple. I will control chaos.
Since this apple is Eris's doing, it's no surprise when it splits into 3 parts, each releasing its magic. As they each take a piece, its power activates, transforming them into weird, unsettling versions of animals and aliens. They end up as creatures that are neither fully monsters nor animals, giving them a look that's downright creepy and a little scary. The whole episode has a dark, chaotic vibe that makes it stand out. And if you're someone who doesn't believe in cults or anything spooky like that, the next episode might just change your mind. This episode's dark and scary vibe comes straight from its storyline. One day, Billy, Mandy, and Grim meet a group of nerdy kids who prefer to stay away from society. Here, Billy learns about their secret club, which is actually a cult run by a kid named Pudding and his 2 friends. They're all convinced that one day, a snake god will appear to grant them powers so they can be as strong as everyone else. Billy's thrilled by this idea and eagerly joins them, while Grim and Mandy dismiss it as foolishness. But they've proven wrong when the snake god actually shows up. The episode feels dark and unsettling because these kids are blindly following a cult, worshipping a mysterious god without questioning or thinking twice.
Secret snake club, huh?
This theme goes pretty deep into darkness. And if we're talking about ghosts, this show has plenty of that too. But sometimes, the ghostly episodes are as fun as they are as creepy. As we see in the next episode. One day, Billy crashes his bike. At first, he doesn't mind.
Bike to have fun anyway. Walking can be its own reward.
But he starts feeling bad when he sees his friends showing off their own bikes. His mood soon improves, though, when he heads to the bathroom, but somehow ends up in the ghost world, where he finds a free tricycle, courtesy of a mysterious ghostly boy. Billy happily spends time with his new tricycle until his friends start teasing him about it.
What is that, yo? Is that a tricycle?
This is where the episode takes a spooky turn. Feeling upset, Billy goes home, but his tricycle comes to life and heads out to take revenge on everyone who made fun of Billy. The scariest moment happens when the tricycle shows up at Spurg's house to teach him a lesson after he taunted Billy. The tricycle's rampage continues until Mandy catches sight of it. Immediately sensing something is wrong, she figures the tricycle secret and finally puts an end to its terror in one final blow. These were just a few episodes that bring out the dark and scary side of the show.